That is ridiculous. Michael Fulmer got hurt because Michael Fulmer had an injury history. He had a wind-up and a delivery that made him susceptible to injury, as has been talked about and documented. And Boyd doesn't have that. Boyd is not – I mean, any pitcher can get hurt at any time. Predicting these things is virtually impossible. But, you don't move – you don't move Matthew Boyd because Fulmer got hurt. Are they asking for too much? I mean, this executive says Fulmer was always available, but the price was so high they could never make a deal. And he says, I see the same thing happening with Boyd. Tigers are asking for a lot. Now, this is kind of a catch-22 because there is a feeling from people that the Tigers gave away Verlander and J.D. Martinez. Some people think that. So they didn't get enough for those guys. Now they're asking a lot for Boyd. And I have a feeling that they'll get ripped for that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
I would disagree about the Verlander and Martinez thing. I think that at the time when they traded Justin Verlander, the prospects they got back on paper were supposed to be really good. Very good. Glowing reports on Franklin Perez. Well, he's been hurt ever since. I mean, the return hasn't been good right now, but at the time, it was a good return. J.D. Martinez, you had no other takers. Nobody was willing to trade him. He was a free agent at the end of the year, so you were going to lose him for nothing. You would get a draft pick, I suppose, as compensation, but was that going to be what you wanted? They had to make those moves. The Michael Fulmer thing at the time, it was a different time for the Tigers. You're going back a few years, right? So when all that trade talk first started, Fulmer was just starting his career and had all this bright future. The Tigers didn't have, I don't think they had Matt Manning at the time, or they certainly didn't have Casey Mize. And so their minor leagues wasn't exactly stocked with any kind of pitching talent. So why give up the one gem that you have? I can understand it. Now, I see the other side, too. Try to get more prospects, maximize what you have with him. It's a different situation now. The Tigers now have kind of stocked their minor league system with starting pitching talent. So when they have one like Matthew Boyd, who's 28 years old and has the things people like, that he's left-handed, the high strikeout rate and all that, okay, now you've got a bargaining chip here where you're dealing from a position of strength because, A, you don't have to trade him with all the years of control that you have, but you can give him up without expecting to get pitching in return because you've got plenty of pitching ready to come down the pipeline. These guys, they're not just knocking the door. They should be pitching here next year with the Tigers, right?
Okay, yeah, they should be. There should be guys that are pitching.
So I think it's a different situation than the Fulmer situation based on the timing of it. I don't know if that's fair. Now, they may be asking the world for Matthew Boyd, and they should. Ask for the moon. See where you're at. And is Matthew Boyd going to be the guy that sets the market and sets the bar higher in the trade market this year? He very well could be. Or the Tigers may just be asking too much and not making a deal because they overvalue it. I don't think that they're going to end up overvaluing him. I think they're going to get a decent trade out of this.
Well, there's a couple things here. One is that later in the same thing, the same story, Ken Rosenthal does speculate that he'll get traded, but just not at the trade deadline. He writes, it's possible Boyd will have just as much trade value in the offseason. His remaining 3 years of arbitration will be far more affordable than what the top free agents, Cole, Baumgartner, Strasburg, if he opts out, will command. The Tigers then should rightly aim in their quest to add position player prospects to their developing core of young pitching. But after getting burned with Fulmer, they should be acutely aware of the danger of waiting too long. Implying that this could go better for them in the offseason. And Rosenthal has always been a guy that has been, it seems, very high on what you should get back from Matthew Boyd. And, sifting through all this, I'm not quite sure what to expect other than to say, Gator, I don't have a ton of faith in Avila. I don't hate Avila either. I don't think Avila should be fired. I just didn't think he should get a contract extension. Not getting ripped off isn't the goal here. The goal, honestly, is to look into someone else's system, see what they don't see, and get the guy that they don't think as highly of that you think you can turn into a player. I don't care if it gets ripped on paper or praised on paper. 4 years from now, you want to clearly have won the trade. And that's why it's really too early to say, in my opinion, all the stuff with JD and JV, while it's not trending towards winning the trade, it's too early to declare them losing the trade either. But I don't want to, when you're making these trades, you don't want to come out the same. You want to come out better 4 years from now than as opposed to the same as you are right now. Candelario's starting to show us some stuff, which is nice. Great. That was the Justin Wilson trade, though. They got done. But anyway, he's got to look at other team system. When you hear that, somebody sends their number 2 prospect and the number 11 prospect, okay, bravo on getting the number 2. What I'm really interested in is, did you steal one in the number 11? Because that's what really makes a trade a shrewd trade. We see these trade proposals all the time, and we look them up. And what was it yesterday from the Braves? It was like 4, 11, and 13.
Something like that.
That tomahawk take.
Yeah.
Proposed and then rejected themselves. But we looked at their 4, 11, and 13. 11 and 13 intrigue me more than 4 do. 4, you better hit with 4. 11 and 13 is what makes you win a trade.
Yeah, but you have to first start by hitting the top prospect out of the park.
Yes.
You've got to get that one right.
That's a requirement.
Yeah.
That's an absolute requirement.
You have to get that one right.
248-539-9797 plus your ticket text at 97136. Coming up later today at 10:50, there's a Tiger that hasn't got much talk, but could he actually get traded? And at 10:31, Evan, our webmaster, needs a little help with something.
Uh-oh.
He's been talking about this for a while, and we're going to take it to the listening audience to help him out because he's got a little trick that probably nobody's aware of, but we're gonna give him some advice. We'll explain today at 10:31. 248-539-9797. The other thing from Rosenthal in this story was he writes this: Boyd has never been on the disabled list. He's under club control for 3 more seasons after this one. His strikeout percentage is 4th highest in the majors behind Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, and Chris Sale. His walk percentage is the 11th lowest. He recently allowed 12 homers in a span of 6 starts. Baseball 2019, but otherwise has been excellent. His point is a valid one. We've talked about the home runs, the home runs he's been giving up at pretty rapid pace. Baseball 2019.
Yeah, but if I were another team in baseball, my biggest apprehension about Matthew Boyd is the track record. This is not a long track record of him being this good. He's been very effective this year up until the last half dozen starts. And he had maybe a half dozen starts last year in the second half that made you go, oh, I like this guy a lot. But beyond that, you go to the 2 prior years, and it's not anything to be writing home about. It's only a recent phenomenon. That's why I'd be a little apprehensive if I were current teams. However, it's a great trend that you're seeing. Baseball is all about the strikeout right now for the starting pitchers and for the bullpen arms. Everybody's about the strikeout. And if you're a hitter, it's all about, how many home runs you can hit.
248-539-9797. Karsch and Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket.